So we have big news from the Marvel Rivals community. The Sentinels have officially stopped their operations for the game. And that's not just any organization that we're talking about. This is one of the biggest names in esports currently. So the question is now, why did they leave? And does this mean Marvel Rivals' competitive scene is already collapsing before it's had a chance to start? Or is this just a natural part of gaming and finding its identity? Let's talk about it. YouTube, what's going on, man? It's Father Dark. Here on a bright, beautiful Tuesday afternoon. I hope everybody's having a great start to their week. If not, I'm sorry to hear that. But I do have some good news for you, though. We're actually going to be updating our Discord to the 2.0 version, basically taking all the things that we've learned from this previous year and making the server even better than it was before. And in celebration of Season 5 releasing pretty soon, we're actually going to be doing 2 giveaways. Now, I just have to say these giveaways are not affiliated with YouTube. These are just things that I do personally for my subscribers and followers in Discord. Now, if you want to know how to get involved in the giveaway and what it is you need to do exactly, all you have to do is go ahead and click that link to join the Discord. And once you join, all the information will be in there. Like I said, I usually do these at the beginning of every season and the beginning of every mid-season. And the winners, what I do is I just gift you whatever the skin is of your choosing. So it can be anything. It could be one of the top premium skins. It could be something in between. It could even be a recolor. Whatever it is that you want, you're able to get that. Like I said, if you haven't joined, I definitely recommend joining. We have a very chill community, very nice people. It isn't just for Marvel Rivals. So if there's anything that you're playing, like I'm currently playing Arc Raiders, we have a bunch of people in there that play Arc Raiders. A lot of times when I need people to give their opinions and stuff like that in videos, the first place I go obviously is to the Discord, and the people that are the most active in there a lot of times that I feel like are able to articulate themselves good enough. I bring them in for the videos and things like that. So there's just plenty of different things. And even if you're not someone who even cares about gaming as much or playing with other people, it's just nice to have people that kind of are into the same things, even if it's just movies, comics, TV shows, whatever it is that you're into. Sometimes just talking about your day. You can find all that in there. And we have a zero toxicity policy. So if anyone in there is like that, we pretty much just show them where the door is immediately. And that goes for everyone. There's no favoritism there. So nonetheless, though, now let's get into the video. Like I said in the intro, the Sentinels, they just announced on Twitter that they were leaving. You know, it's all the, the sad people and stuff. And I really do feel bad for a lot of these people because I know they put a lot of time and energy into these teams and stuff like that. And it is really unfortunate when things like this happen. But yeah, you have all the different players, the coaches, just all these people kind of giving their, speeches and stuff, their goodbye speeches saying, hey, it was a great run. We appreciate all the fans and everything. And a lot of the people in the comments, they're all kind of, a lot of people are doom and gloom. They're going to sit back and go, oh man, Rivals must be dying. What's going on? Why are these teams leaving? And the thing is that this is not the first time that this has happened. We've seen the same thing happen with Overwatch. We saw the same thing happen with Halo. And like I said, when Sentinels joined in, a lot of people were like, oh man, this is really legitimate now, right? This is probably one of the biggest teams out there. This is going to be a massive deal, that this could be the next big thing. And I don't doubt that it can. But let's talk about what's changed over the last year and why we'll probably see more teams pulling out pretty soon. All right, so first off, there's no real roadmap for esports. And if they release something, let me know in the comments. But I wasn't able to find anything that was very clear, that's really dictating this is our plan and this is how we're trying to move forward. And that's a really huge flag for a lot of people, right? You're not going to feel very comfortable at your job if it's a situation where you walk in every day and they're just kind of you're like, oh, am I going to be on the schedule next week? And they're like, I don't, maybe, right? We all want to feel comfortable that knowing that we're going to have some type of long-term plan. And esports are no different. If they feel like there's really nothing going on in the future or that there's no longevity with something, they're going to pull out. These things cost a lot of money to keep going and stuff like that. So that's usually one of the main things that we see with a lot of esports teams is they're either being run very poorly or the actual game itself isn't really giving them any clear real destination as to what to look forward to. Second thing is low viewership. You ever have a show or something that you love, but it ends up not getting renewed, and then years later it gets really popular and they end up bringing it back. That's just the day and time that we live in. And it's not even just an internet thing. This was something that was the same way with TV shows, even prior to everything being on streaming services and stuff like that. When numbers just weren't really high enough, people don't want to invest in it. That's how they dictate if something is popular enough. And like I said, sometimes it's a situation where a lot of people just haven't gotten there yet, or it is popular, but people just kind of watch it at their own discretion. And I'll tell you, for me personally, I think what could help them in the future is less time in between the matches. When I try to watch a lot of these tournaments and stuff, there is so much time spent in between the matches. Sometimes it'll be 30, 40 minutes between a match of people just talking. And it's they're being forced to talk. It's just a lot of just yapping, and as somebody who that's what I do. I yap. I make videos where I yap. It's that's what you're here for, though. It'd be different if you were here to watch me play the game and my matches took 7 to 8 minutes and then there was 40 minutes of me yapping. And it's like it's not. I'm not there for that. And it's to the point to where I almost wish like they would upload it the next day with just the gameplay, with like maybe like 2 minutes in between of them explaining what just happened and kind of hyping it up. But that's just something that I notice personally, which kind of like deters me from watching them. And if I do, I'll usually just watch isolated games or compilations or something that someone else has stitched together. But even those are kind of hard to find. So moving on to third, we have meta and balance issues. And this is probably one of the most important things. Okay, I've talked about with a few people about this in the server the other day. We were going back and forth. And, people were talking about how often they're changing all the different characters and stuff. And see, the problem with that is that nowadays, all these games are going to a live service model. And for those of you who don't know, live service is like when you have games that are free to play, where all of the content is free. You don't have to pay for anything. You don't have to pay for the game. You don't have to pay for any of the actual like operators or characters in the game, any of the the weapons or whatever it is they have in the game that you would normally have to pay for with something else. It's just all free, like a Fortnite, Apex Legends, Warzone, Marvel Rivals. But the only thing you do pay for is like your cosmetics and stuff. And to keep people interested and engaged in a live service game, you have to do a few different things. One, you have to constantly be updating stuff, like in regards to like maps and adding new characters, loadouts, whatever it is that people are like coming to that game for. You have to keep constantly providing content to keep people interested, because so many games nowadays are competing with each other. If you just notice, like so many games just released around the same time. I tried to play Battlefield, but I couldn't get too far into Battlefield because then Arc Raiders released. And then COD, they were supposed to release on the 14th, and now they're talking like they might release on the 10th. And some people have said that's a joke or whatever, but even if it's not, you're talking about like maybe a week or two in between games. And these games are all designed to keep you playing as long as you possibly can to be able to do stuff. I just loaded into Rivals the other day. They have numerous different events. One of the it's like their get out of jail free card is them doing one of their free skin events that they have, where you get the token for the free skin. But the thing is that you're forced to load in every day and play the game. So it becomes like a full-time job. Even if you're a content creator and you get paid to play games, like it's one of those things where it's like, maybe I just want to play Arc Raiders for a few days and not be bothered. But at the same time, it's like, well, I do want that free skin token, because even though I can get any skin I want, it's just who doesn't like free stuff, right? And like I said, it'll be the same thing with Battlefield. Battlefield will constantly do things. They'll have different events and stuff for you to load in and play. They might release the game and they go, hey, you know what? Here, we just dropped the Battle Royale unannounced just because there's another game coming out. We're going to try as hard as we can to stop you from being interested in that other game. And this is the reason why there's nerfs and balances in this game so often. I mean, really, you'd find that in any other game, because that is an easy way to make things fresh and new, is to take something that doesn't get used regularly and make that really good, and take the thing that does get used all the time and make it just kind of eh. But there's a problem with that in a game like Marvel Rivals when you're trying to make it a competitive game, which people already sit back. I've lost count of how many times I've heard someone say that Marvel Rivals is a casual game. Even the developers came out and said they designed it more for a casual audience. So when you say that, you're already kind of deterring a competitive mindset from people to begin with, if there was even room there for that to happen at all. So you have that aspect. Like I said, a lot of esports players are not going to feel very comfortable trying to get familiar enough with a game on that kind of level to play it professionally, when they don't know if next week the thing that they were even working on or using is even going to be relevant when it comes time to play. And finally, lack of dev communication. So if the devs aren't communicating, which they may be doing it kind of like on their own, like maybe they're like closer, have some kind of connection or something where it's like a direct type of thing. But overall, like I don't see very much communication with the devs and the esports community and stuff like that. It seems like I said, like they're more focused on just making this game for the casual audience. And I think it was just natural with this game coming out and being so like similar to Overwatch and more like the aesthetic and just the overall kind of gameplay. But when it comes down to it, even though I don't play Overwatch much, I just can't doubt that all these people that just keep saying it from all different varying degrees and stuff and amount of time spent playing Overwatch are all saying the same thing. Overwatch is clearly more competitive than Marvel Rivals. So it just is what it is in that regard. So now we move on to why this probably doesn't necessarily matter and why it's not as big of a deal as people are making it out to be. Okay, so first, this game is still early, right? We're still in the infancy of Marvel Rivals. I keep saying a year, but we really haven't even got to that point yet. Now, I think it did release, if I'm not mistaken, it was either end of November or early December? I'm thinking like early December is when it released. I could be wrong, though. Let me know in the comments when it actually released. Now, the thing I was going to say is that even if it did, at the earliest or, whatever, was it released in late November, we're still not even at a year yet. We're coming up on it, but we're not there yet, right? So much stuff has to happen within a year for you to actually kind of even begin to remotely find your footing. There are a lot of games that are still evolving so much. You look at something like Fortnite, or even Apex or anything like that. A lot of these games, anytime I jump back into them because a friend wants to play, or maybe one of the kids want to play or something like that, and I jump back in with them, it's always a situation where I'm just like, wow, from the time when that game first came out years ago to where it is now, completely different. You think about when Fortnite first came out, there wasn't even movement in that game, right? Like you pretty much had you could walk kind of briskly, whereas now you got like slide canceling and like just all this crazy. So you can make like these big tall jumps. They've made it to where you actually have like first person when you're using your loadout and stuff, if you have certain scopes and different things on it. So they've just completely changed the whole entire game of it. Even like the way to they have like the creator modes and stuff, the Lego world that they have, all this stuff. Same thing with Apex. So many things have changed, like from when the game first came out to where it is now. It's almost kind of overwhelming at first, and that's a good thing. That keeps people engaged. It stops them from going, this is the same game that I've played a million times. What's the reason for me coming back to it? So where Marvel Rivals might be when you think about it from 3, 4, even 5 years from now versus where it is at this moment, it could be a completely different game. And the way we look at it and view it and all the different options that they may have could be completely different. Second, let's talk about how the fact that this is a Marvel game. Above everything else, this is a Marvel game. You're talking about one of the most popular IPs on the whole entire planet, one of the most recognizable IPs on the whole entire planet, next to obviously a handful of other things. The only reason I started playing this game to begin with was because you were telling me I could play them, like half of my favorite characters from Marvel. I can play them in a competitive game. And they're still not done adding characters. I mean, they're popping them out every single month, and they haven't said anything about slowing down, even if the roster just becomes ridiculous. I mean, in a couple of years, you're going to be talking about, what, like 100 characters or something like that, or slightly less? So there are just a ridiculous amount of people that are going to play this game just because of its IP. And third, content over competition, meaning they just released this zombie mode. And a lot of people might have just kind of slept on this and thought it was just whatever. But there's a bigger picture here, okay? They've already stated that if people like this mode, they were going to keep expounding upon it, right? And the thing about that is that I pay attention to the community. I read the comments. I have a server. I see how people are with stuff. And even though I'm personally not a fan of zombies, and I haven't even touched that mode yet, I don't have to be a fan of zombies because, like I said, there's a bigger picture here. They've already stated they could see themselves doing different modes and stuff in the future. This is a company. This is a business at the end of the day. If they start out, and I'll give you an example, right? Like, so once again, to bring up Fortnite. Fortnite originally released as Save the World. Now, this was kind of like a 7 days to die zombie base building kind of type of deal where you went around in the world, you played missions and got a bunch of supplies and blueprints and all these things. Then you had your home base. Once you started the storm or whatever it was, zombies would infinitely just keep attacking you, and you try to live as long as you could and survive for as long as you could, right? Wasn't a bad concept or anything. It's just people weren't really into it at the time, or maybe they just didn't hype it up enough, or whatever the case was. Epic Games was smart enough to say, hey, you know what? We're going to take the assets from this game and we're going to make a battle royale, because at the time PUBG was a really popular game, but I don't think it was on console yet or something like that. So I'm pretty sure it was only PC, and if I'm wrong, you can correct me once again in the comments. Nonetheless, they took all this stuff, had made a whole game that it took them 7-8 years to make. Nobody really cared about it. They did an asset flip, made a giant map that only had about 5 or 6 locations on it. Everything else was pretty empty, called Fortnite, and somehow it took over the world. And this was not even the thing they intended upon doing originally. This was just something they did on a whim, like, hey, you know what? Let's just release this free game. We'll throw some skins in there that cost money and a battle pass or something, and call it a day, and hopefully we can recoup some of the money. Now they're making billions of dollars a month off of just cosmetics alone. So you think about Marvel Rivals, they release and they say, yo, we're a hero shooter. But then let's say it slowly transforms into what that last Marvel's Avengers game was supposed to be, because they already have the base and the popularity, and maybe they start doing the things people really want, like Age of Ultron, like the first Avengers movie, which they could already do that. They obviously have all the characters in the roster already, et cetera, until it gets to a point to where we got like Endgame, Age of Doom, so many different things from the comics, like these big, massive modes that we can all work together. And it becomes a situation, like I've said numerous times, like a Destiny, where you have the multiplayer aspect, you have the campaign and all that stuff, and then you have the raids. And the raids are something that people really love. And then if you start finding a way to kind of make it to where these aren't just something that you're doing and all you're getting is a little banner or something, but maybe there's something you would actually need to help you, like in the game to some degree, or adding more cosmetics that are so rare that you would only get them from playing like at the hardest difficulty or something, et cetera, et cetera. There's also ways that they could start releasing new characters. Maybe we could vote on them by like who it is that we decide to take down or play the most. They could say, hey, do you want Ghost Rider or Thanos this month? And whichever one that we fight the most or defeat the most or whatever, that's the one that ends up getting released to the game or vice versa. So there are so many different things that they could do. And like I said, how this game might look years from now, even next year, really, it could be completely different. We might look back and go, wow, that's really how it was in the beginning. And we've come so far from that and grown so much. The other thing too is that a lot of times it's good to try to like, there's a lot of people that just, especially nowadays, I feel like they all just kind of want to start running at full speed. Everybody just wants to, jump online and have 1 million followers and just be famous. And everybody wants to just go out and just get the best job and just all this stuff. Nobody really wants to kind of like work their way up. And a lot of times that's how things are. Like naturally in life, that's how things are. You're born, you're a baby, you can literally do nothing for yourself, nothing at all. You have to be dependent on someone to do everything. Eventually you get to the point where you can hold your own bottle, you can sit up on your own, then you start to crawl, then you start to stand up, then you start walking and running, et cetera, et cetera. And life is all about these moments where you think that you got it all, and then you kind of like when you're a toddler and you're like, oh, I can do all this stuff on my own now. Then you start going to school, you have to relearn, and even then you're in elementary school, then you get to middle school, and then you get to high school, and then you go to college. You kind of just keep resetting. And you kind of have to take what you've learned. And this is the thing is like with the game, for example, if it's a situation where you just try to come out the gate and just, oh, we're going to do all this, and then we're going to have the esports team. No, sometimes it's better to just crawl before you even begin to walk. And I think that's really what Rivals needs to focus on, is just staying in a place to where the game is actually fun and they build up their player base. Because right now, they're sitting around like 90,000 players on like a regular day or so. Every now and again, like when there's a new season or there's some kind of like really new event or something like that, they might go up to 140K or something. They could be a way bigger game. You're talking about a Marvel IP here that they have the right. Marvel has pretty much given them free reigns to do whatever it is that they want because of their initial success. They could not only get back to that initial success they had of like the 600K, that's small potatoes. They could have 1 million people playing their game. If CSGO can do it, why can't they do it? Right? And I know a lot of people say, oh, because they have like the ingrained. That's not what I'm saying. What I'm saying is that there was a point in time where CSGO was down there, right? And only so many people played that game. And now they're constantly the #1 game on the Steam store. And like I said, I know people will say, oh, because they got the in-game market of all the trading of cosmetics or whatever it is they have in there. But I'm just saying, if someone else can do it, another person can do it as well, or another company can do it as well. So I think that's what they should focus on primarily. So yeah, the Sentinels leaving is definitely sent a message, and it's definitely something to think about for Netease and Rivals. But like I said, that would honestly probably be the last thing on my mind. I would definitely be worried about listening to the community and just trying to make sure that people ultimately are here. Because the thing is if you say your game is going to be casual versus competitive, then that's what you really have to lock into. You have to pick a side. You can't sit here and keep teetering on both sides. There's not going to be a situation in life where you're always going to be able to appease everyone. If you're trying to appease the competitive community, you're not going to be able to appease the casual community and vice versa. So if that's what you're going for, then I really feel like they need to just lock in and worry about having fun. And really, I think too many of us have strayed away from that. And as a competitive person myself, everybody has a different interpretation of what competitive is. To some people, it means literally sitting here all day long and never leaving this room. But at the same time, though, for me, it just means that when I sit down and I play a game, I enjoy going up against other people of equal or better skill. Just like they say in the first law of chess, you only get better by playing a better or stronger opponent. That's kind of how I am when it comes to games. There's also nothing wrong with just playing a game and just having fun. You ever had that moment like where you've been just playing like competitive stuff for so long, and then you sit down and you play a game and you're having like just actual fun, and you kind of go, damn, this is what gaming, like what I kind of got into it for to begin with. Like the first game that I think that I played, I'm pretty sure a lot of us played, was not a competitive game. It was probably just like a game where we just had fun. I vividly remember my first time. It was my babysitter actually. She had gave me her Game Boy. I'm old as dirt, so this was like the original big old gray with the purple button Game Boy. And she had one of the Mario games. And the first time that I played it, I was just like, this is the most amazing thing I've ever seen in my life. It's so fun. I can't stop doing it. And as time went on, I played a lot of other games like that. But then eventually, there came the FPS and multiplayer and stuff. And you start getting into that and you lose a couple of times and someone talks a little smack to you. And you're like, oh, I can't let that slide. And then that's kind of, for some of us, what gaming just becomes. We don't even take the time to just sit down and actually just play a game where we're just having fun. And I think that's something that there's nothing wrong with focusing on that. But you can also have the multiplayer aspect. But nonetheless, though, that's pretty much all I have for this video. But I am curious what you all think. Do you think it's a big deal? Do you think that Marvel Rivals should not even focus on the pro scene or anything like that in esports? Do you think that they should just focus on having fun? Do you feel completely the opposite, that that should be their primary focus? Are you sad? Are you disappointed? Do you not care at all? What are your thoughts and concerns? This is an echo chamber. Just because I feel a certain way or think a certain way does not mean you have to agree with me. I actually respect it when you don't. Not saying that if I say 2 + 2 = 4, you should just, disagree just to disagree. But when it comes to stuff like this, these are all just opinions, though. And I do love hearing everybody's different opinion and perspective on it and stuff. So, but like I said, though, also in the beginning of the video, do not forget to join the link to the Discord. I would love for all of you to have a chance to be able to win these giveaways. I know a lot of people a lot of times think, oh, I would never have a chance, and you'd be really surprised. I mean, there's only we have like well over 1,000 people in there. I think it was like almost 1,400 people in there. But at the same time, though, a lot of people are in so many different servers, they don't even like apply for the giveaways when you make it known and stuff like that. So you're not competing with millions of people or anything. This isn't like some worldwide giveaway, right? You're talking about a very good chance that you may actually win. But like I said, I would definitely recommend you all trying to do that. I always love being able to do stuff for the community and help you all out, especially the closer we get to Christmas and stuff like that. I'm probably definitely going to be doing more stuff like this to help out the community and show my appreciation for how supportive you all have been on this channel consistently over the last year and a half. I really, really do appreciate everybody's support. But yeah, like I said, this is all I have for this video. I'm going to go ahead and wrap it up. I do appreciate you all for listening. I'm Father Dark, and I'll catch you on the next one.